Welcome to Meadowbrook Memories Podcast. I am Jelly, otherwise known as Glacier Prince, and my co-host is Hitchcock, otherwise known as Alfred Henry. Our mission on this podcast series is to explore the stories behind the magic that was created at Meadowbrook. When over a span of 4 years, between 1982 and 1986, we saw the transformation of a small co-educational school with less than 1,200 students, 800 boys, 800 girls and 400 boys into a successful sports and scholastic champion, winning 7 major trophies, 3 Sunlight Cup, 2 Topping Cup, 1 Walker Cup, and 1 Nutriment Shield. And to crown these achievements, Meadowbrook also produced 2 Rhodes Scholars, Cavell Creighton in 1987 and Andrea Wright in 1989, both graduates of Meadowbrook in 1983. In this podcast series, we'll be speaking to persons, both males and female, who are actively involved in this incredible journey, along with friends and staff at Meadowbrook, which inspired the environment which created this golden era. We hope you enjoy our discussion. Please give us as much support and encouragement as you can on whatever social media platform you are listening. Welcome and thanks for joining us. Alright, ready. Today is Sunday, October 2nd, 2022. And welcome back to another conversation about Meadowbrook memories. Me as usual, Glacier, or Lance, or Prince, or Jelly. And by now, you know, so any one of those names will do. Our 2 guests this week will need a proper introduction, as Greg would have tell me, because they think that them don't have a story. But we know, on this conversation by now, that from you come from Meadowbrook, you must have a story. Our first guest today attended Meadowbrook from 1976 to 1980, was a member of the Cadet Corps, and he said he enjoyed all the science classes, and I would have to ask him if he was in attendance for the most famous and crowded science lecture that ever took place at Meadowbrook. Remind me if I ask about that, Merrick, because I need to know if you were at that one, and say which one.
No problem.
And our next guest started school the same year as in 1980, when I was in repeating 5th form. He attended Meadowbrook until 1985. He was a member of the Cadet Corps, Junior JC. I was a true...
Recruit.
Okay, sorry. I was in my mind, when he sent me in resume, he's a true team member for Gartour and for Meadowbrook. That's why I look on Ozzy. He ran the 100, the 200, the 400, the relay, throw, shot put and discus, just to get points for him house. Him, to me, epitomized the spirit that permeates throughout Meadowbrook, where it is always more important to compete than to win, which prepares us for life, the ultimate life lesson, where it's far more important to show resilience than to conquer. But without further ado, I'm going to make them tell them own stories. So, welcome, Merrick Dammar. Introduce yourself first, and then Ozzy, family man or lad, Barrett, introduce yourself. Go ahead, Merrick, introduce yourself.
All right. Thank you, Prince. Thank you. And good evening to everyone out there. And Mr. Oswald, thank you for the invitation on this wonderful program, sir. As Prince had said, I attended Meadowbrook back in the days when Mr. Thorpe was the headmaster. And I will share my memories in a few moments as we go along. At present, I'm living in New York. I've been living in New York for about 42 and a half years. I'm married with 3 sons. My sons are doing well, and they are actually benefiting from one of the greatest benefits that I've had from Meadowbrook, which is discipline. And we'll discuss that in a few minutes.
Yeah, man.
Right. I have a thriving law practice here. I've been practicing law for very close to 30 years. And I'm also an adjunct professor of law, where I teach immigration law and real estate law as well. I work out of the Bronx, New York, live upstate New York. And I have also been lucky enough to represent a few of the consulates, the West Indian consulates, which we'll discuss in our in our discussion. But because self-praise is no recommendation, I'm going to pass it over to Ozzy right now, and then we'll talk more about Ozzy and myself as we go along.
Yeah, man, yeah. And thanks for that. But quickly before we go, Ozzy, I didn't know you were doing immigration law, Merrick, because the law my daughter has taken up at her law school at University of Colorado. I didn't know that. That is some coincidence, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Just
yes.
like immigration law. So yeah. Well, Ozzy, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm Oswald Barrett. At school, I attended Meadowbrook 80 to 85. My nickname at Meadowbrook was Lad. And I'm also called Family Man Barrett. I do live here in the Northeast U.S., in a place called Bergenfield, New Jersey, for the last close to 40 years. I work in transportation, public transportation, and I just started a new business in mortuary transport. And I've been a member of and co-founder of the Meadowbrook High School Alumni New York chapter since its inception in 1994. And that's basically what I can say, But, I have 3 children, and they're all grown, just enjoying life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gentlemen, thank you. Both, especially both on come and join. I feel privileged that you want to take the time off to come join me this evening. So I feel blessed. So, but by now, as usual, I've been listening to a couple of these podcasts, and the first question I'm going to ask, and I'm going to start with you, Merrick, since you're the senior citizen here. You started Meadowbrook before, has it?
Proudly so.
Did you choose Meadowbrook, Merrick, or Meadowbrook chose you?
I chose Meadowbrook. I was fortunate enough back in the days when I took the common entrance exam that my scores were very, very, very high. Either that or my father had good friends in high places, one or the other. I've got to try and figure that one out. Mm-hmm. It was my only choice, I guess. I was accepted to Calabar. I was accepted to a few other schools, but the mother that I had was extremely protective of us. And Meadowbrook was right there in the neighborhood because, we were on Wandsworth Avenue at the time and then moved to Reddles Road.
Where's Wandsworth Avenue? I just asked you that.
Yeah, right behind Lee's Food Fair. So it's off
okay, right around the road there, sir. Okay, I got you.
Yes, right around in the bend there. So I chose Meadowbrook. My parents chose Meadowbrook because at the time, and I'm sure we'll all agree to this, at the time, Meadowbrook was looked upon as one of the elite schools, one of the top schools in Kingston and in the island as well. Mm-hmm. So at that time, and plus, Prince, I was also at the time attending Meadowbrook Prep School, so it seems to be a natural progression of things.
Okay, I got you. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're right, dear. I was just going to ask you which part I take the prep school, the common entrance from where it's a Meadowbrook Prep. That is like, it's like a natural progression from moving to the prep school to the high school. That's very interesting.
Sure, and where my classroom was, it was right up against the back of the auditorium. Mm-hmm. So there's always that wish that one day I would be marching around that bend to go into the side of the auditorium from the side of the fence.
From the bigger side of the school, yeah.
From the bigger side of the school, right.
Yeah.
And the canteen was always there, and I would smell the food from the canteen because all we had to eat at Meadowbrook Prep School was some bleached out hot dogs and some little patties.
Yeah.
So I chose it for the food and for the proximity to my home.
Mm-hmm. So Meadowbrook was your first choice then into the common entrance?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
I think my only choice.
And you passed Meadowbrook?
Yes, I believe so.
Yep. Your father make sure say, boy, I'm not trying. We never feel no way at all. You wanted to go to Meadowbrook too.
I wanted to go to Meadowbrook. My sister went there, my brother went there, my eldest sister went. So I was number 4 in the family to have attended Meadowbrook.
I would just go ask you that. That's not true Meadowbrook tradition. I am number 3 that attended Meadowbrook. Yes. My older sister and my brother went to Meadowbrook too. Yeah. So you were the youngest one, Merrick?
Youngest boy. I have 3, but the youngest one to actually no. My sister Michelle, God bless her soul, and Ozzy will tell you about Michelle soon. Michelle was the last one to attend Meadowbrook. I think Ozzy, she was in your class, if I remember correctly.
I think she was a bit ahead of me, Merrick.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
ahead of me. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't, but that's a true Meadowbrook tradition as Merrick. A lot of siblings and family come at the
Five of
school,
us.
and that's
Five
and,
of us.
and
Yeah.
that's what I love about it. That's what I love about it.
Yes.
So yeah. So you, as it, did you choose Meadowbrook or Meadowbrook chose you?
Meadowbrook chose me, no brethren. I went to a little prep school in Kingston, Holy Child Prep.
Which one that?
Holy Child Prep.
Holy Childhood Prep. Okay, yeah.
Right. And I remember the day when the results came in because I chose for Campion and Calabar.
Yeah.
Calabar being my father went there, my brother went there, so I wanted to go to Calabar. So I looked at the papers and there's no name. So I was a little bit depressed about it, walking by the post office in Halfway Tree.
Halfway Tree Post Office, yeah.
I flipped the newspaper, and my brethren look at me and says, Ozzy, you passed some Meadowbrook. I said, Meadowbrook? Where the heck is that? And I tell you something, man, I wasn't very happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
And my first day going to Meadowbrook, I tell you, brother, my brother took me on the bus, 37 bus. And as I said to you before, it was a little bit traumatic. My first day.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're driving on the 37 bus by St. Richard's Prep.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this body in the middle of the road. And the priest bending over the body with the newspaper. Some guy got his head chopped off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was traumatized, But anyway, went to school and went into the school and got a little bit intimidated because first thing I saw was the 2-story block with all the girls up there lined up,
mm-hmm.
And my brother looked at me and said, "Man, you're on your own, brethren."
Yeah.
You're on your own. And
They must left you and gone, has he?
Huh?
He must leave you and gone?
Leave me and gone, man. And but I didn't realize that I had a lot of friends and family right there in the school, and it just became my school, So Meadowbrook chose me.
Yeah, and for context, those are as you have to put it in context in terms of say 1980 was the year where the most violent election ever held in Jamaica.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I have to put that in context.
Yes.
So you started school that year.
Yes, it was terrible, man. I mean,
yeah. So the violence so you see when you come to school, it was like election was 2-3 months away. So it's like it was.
Yeah, it was rough, man. I mean, we're on a second shift.
Yeah.
And I remember we're going home one day, walked down to Purity, and there are some guys were bothering us at the bus stop and started calling us labor right, pick me and stuff like that. One and pulled a knife on us.
Yeah.
And said they're going to stab us up. So.
And that's because you have on the green, right?
Right. And I said to him, listen, man, we're schoolers, So one guy says to me, one of the two of them says to us, well, let's let him go. Let him go. He said, because this guy could be our lawyer. We could get into trouble.
Yeah.
And the other guy says, no, let's do them because he might be the judge who break my neck.
Wow.
And it's something I'm so glad, we got out of that situation. We talked our way out of it. And my brothers came back. My older brothers came up into the neighborhood looking for them.
Yeah. So where you live, Ozzy? What neighborhood you live in at the time?
I live in a place called Kesha Park.
Kesha Park. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, that was an unfortunate baptism of fire you get there.
Of course.
And it was at that time when Holy St. Richard's Prince, and I don't know if you know this, Ozzy, that St. Richard's was actually a polling booth at the time.
Yes.
Right. It was a voting headquarters for Riddles Road at that point.
Yeah.
So what you saw was just pretty much somebody who answered the wrong question, who you vote for.
Yeah. I don't think it was election. Yeah, but it was just campaign season. So it was like.
Yeah.
Just when Ozzy started school in September, the election was, I think. Actually, maybe it was the end of September was the election, September, if I don't remember right. I don't quite remember. But yeah, you came at a time, as it was the most tumultuous time in Jamaican history.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you came to school at the time. It was right name there. I mean, I don't remember it. I used to live at Pembroke, and I used to walk, I just don't remember it. And this is how everybody's history different,
Everybody is different at that. Because all the years me go Meadowbrook, I'm going for 8 years. I never experienced nothing like you experienced as it. And I walk past them roads just like you walk past them.
Right. I was
See,
very
I
lucky.
walk through Akiwak, I walk on Redditch Road, go down Purity and go home, and I've never. You see what I'm saying to you? Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
Yeah. Curiously enough, Ozzy, I never have that experience because I'm a Reddles Road guy too. So walking up and down Reddles Road was no big deal for us.
Right, Ozzy, right.
So what you saw that morning, Ozzy, unfortunately, and without joking, I would say that was common assault. Did you see? Yeah, you understand?
Yeah.
It was common assault. Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah, go ahead, Ozzy. It sounds like you have something to say.
No, man, as I said before, it was just one of them things, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know, in Meadowbrook, once you cross that bridge by Purity, I felt safe.
Yeah.
You know, it's rather
going to school.
Going to school.
Yeah, man, once you pass this and pass Rampton and I go up, it's a different area completely, man.
Yeah, man.
It's a different world. So, all right, Merrick, you know, the first term of Meadowbrook, what you remember most about the first term you come to Meadowbrook? Because you're familiar with the surrounding because you go to prep school, your family go to school. When you come up on the campus the first day, or the first term, what do you remember the most?
We were lucky enough to be the first group of kids that would enter the first farm block, the new first farm block, which is near
just finished build, fresh building up here and everything, yeah.
Right. It was fresh. The paint was still freshly, fresh on the wall. The grass was growing right there in between the buildings. And what I remember now is the enormity of the school. I remember the overwhelming feeling I had when I stepped foot into Meadowbrook. And now I'm wearing long pants, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The bag is bigger, and we went to the new block. And I remember seeing this overpowering gentleman with that military haircut and military mustache and his extended belly in his famous dark blue suit and his famous light blue shirt and his striped tie.
Yeah.
And curiously enough, he knew my name, Mr. Dammar.
Yes.
And very slow. Yeah. So we all know who we're talking about.
Yeah. So, but how did Mr. Top know you're in America?
My father was well known in the area. My father was a contractor that built banks, and I think he was contracted part of the construction companies that had something to do with building part of that new block.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. And my father was one of those guys that made it his business to kind of be the forerunner for his children and his children's movements moving forward. So he would always scout out things that his kids would have been getting themselves involved in as far as academics and churches and stuff like that. He was always the one to make sure that things would be well settled.
He might have definitely introduced himself to Mr. Top then, yes.
Of course.
If you have brothers and sisters there, Mr. Top, I know your father, and I know say, and next son will come this year, so don't.
Right, and I have witnessed them over glasses of scotch. I've witnessed them in their discussions. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, your father had a close relation with Mr. Top, then I hear you, Merrick.
Yeah.
But for the record, Merrick, you started Meadowbrook the same year as Timon, what?
Timon is a friend of mine, wonderful guy, brilliant guy.
Yeah.
Enjoyed his company. I think he was from Rock Hall.
Yeah, man, Timon from Rock Hall. Timon has been on this program because Timon was a member of that cricket team who won Sunlight in 1982. Timon, I don't know if you remember, you weren't at Meadowbrook at the time, Merrick, you had left. But Timon.
No.
But I remember when you say, when Timon came on the program, Timon mentioned that he came the first year when the building just finished. So, yeah. I figure you don't know Timon. Nice guy, man. The best I think.
He was an anomaly. Timon was soft-spoken. Timon was hard-working in terms of where he came from.
Yeah.
And from his appearance, you could not judge him. But his brain was massive. His intellect was superior, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had a mastery of maths and chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
His mannerism was mild, and his friendship was just humongous. If you were Timon's friend, you were in good company.
Well, definitely.
Yeah.
I can attest to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ozzy, yeah, go ahead, Merrick. So when I get about finish.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, yeah. I'm just clearing my
Ozzy,
throat, yeah.
so on the first week of the first term you come Meadowbrook, what was it like when you come up on the campus? Unlike Merrick, you don't know the campus at all, and your brothers come leave you and say you're on your own in a big man. What's the impression you get when you look on the campus and you come up on the Meadowbrook campus?
I mean, it was intimidating. It was intimidating when I first came on, because I mean, it's bigger kids, new environment, new people, you know. I do remember, we had second shift at the time.
Yeah, them just started second shift,
Yeah.
two shift, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the first people I met was Tegre.
Yes,
And
yeah,
all
Dante,
them,
yeah.
Dante, Peter Champagny, Sean Hibbert, Jeffrey Garden, Louis Watts, and they made it comfortable. They were nice. They were, they did tease me about my accent. Yes.
And why? What kind of accent you had?
I had, because I came from England. I had that British accent.
Ah, got you.
And
You were born in
I was trying
England.
to- right. So this guy Paul Day says, that guy over there sounds like a bloke. I guess says, I think we should give him a name. And it says, Lad. I think that lad, we should give him the name Lad. And Lad was,
As an English lad, that's how we get the nickname. I see you, I get you, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about the scenery upon the campus? Because when I went to Meadowbrook, I was in love with the willow tree them at the front gate and just the greenness of the place. What was your view when you come to Meadowbrook and you see it?
Well, my thing is the hills. The hills were just absolutely nice. There were many houses up there, so it was really fresh greenery, And what I used to like to see the fog on top of the hill.
Yes, yeah.
And you'd look out and you'd probably see somebody building a house up there and stuff like that. But it was clean, nice campus. Although we the second shift we had to they kept shifting us between the first form block and the third form block, doing the shift changes. But it was nice. I mean, even that little pond with the frogs in the back. I don't know if you guys remember it. The greenhouse that was by the biolab.
I remember it.
Yes, I remember that attack. Yeah. So yeah. So all right, so Merrick, who are some of the teachers apart from Mr. Top that you remember in the early days, and some of the students that you remember apart from Tim and what about? What are some of your friends them where you make a Meadowbrook and just come to Meadowbrook, and the teachers them who inspire you?
Unfortunately for me, I'm cursed with a good memory, so I pretty much remember everything and everybody. So the teachers know one of the teachers that was really good to me, and I'm sure other people will agree and others won't. But Miss McLennan was and I don't care what people call her, I don't care what people refer to her as. For me, she was an angel. She would guide me through. She would always walk me through situations and pretty much counsel me on dealing with the different personalities. I was pretty much a loner, very introverted. I was the exact opposite of who I am today. Soft-spoken. Would hide behind my own shadow. I remember Mr. Bell Navis. I remember Miss Carol Jones. I remember her in particular because of her beauty and her closeness to our age. I remember Miss Mason that taught us Spanish.
Yeah.
I remember Mr. Renrick Brown, which I believe Meadowbrook did him a really bad service because of his belief in Rastafari. I remember Mr. Gooden. He was also part of the Cadet Corps. I remember there's a white teacher, I forgot her name, that taught biology.
Mrs. Chambers is talking.
Yes.
Miss Chambers. I don't know what Miss Chambers. Yeah.
Right. I remember Mr. Mike here, English guy, tall, white guy. Right.
Yeah.
So I remember pretty much everybody that I remember. I remember Miss Sonia Nevins, and we'll talk about Miss Sonia Nevins soon. I remember Miss Richards,
Yes, she taught
and
me geography, Miss Richard. Nice teacher, man. Yes, 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 yes.
I'll tell you something about Miss Richards. On Wednesday, if you remember, Prince, and Ozzy, if you remember this, Wednesday down at Odeon and Carib was always premiere day for Carter Wong movies and Bud Spencer movies and those things.
New movies will come out, Trinity movie and them things. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So Wednesday daytime now. Every Wednesday, my cousin would bring a quote unquote letter from my father. So some family was taking place. My poor father. So my cousin now would leave down at Pienland and went to Selassie school.
Yeah.
And somehow or the other, miraculously, a letter would appear in his pocket from my father.
Yeah.
And he would give me a pass. Now, on Wednesdays, if you remember, Ozzy, was Garchure's day for physical exercise. So I had already had on my little blue T-shirt underneath my khaki. So by the time we left the school, I would take off my khaki shirt. And we went down to Carib, which my other cousin was in charge of the balcony, right? So we would go up to my cousin, I always have 2 bags of potato chips and waiting for us. So we now went into the balcony for free, and my other cousin had cigarettes on him all the time. So they're now lighting the cigarettes, smoking the cigarettes, pretending like we're a big man.
Yeah.
13-year-old, 12, 13 years old. And then now I'm going through the row, and I'm stumbling across this guy and this lady, stumbling, nearly fall, saying sorry, and then move past the 2 people, gone behind them and smoking my cigarette. When the lights come on now, who did I see but Miss Richards and our man, who also cut class that day to go see the movie?
I see. You bust her, that's all, yeah.
Cigarette in my mouth. I tell you, Corey was a boy time, man, that night when I went out to that place.
So she never see you, Ozzy?
No, she never see me. She didn't see me.
But you saw her.
I stepped on her foot.
Yeah. Sir Merrick, you never see her, Merrick. Wow. So them school to the day, I got watch movie like you. Wow.
All right. With our man. I remember Miss Barber, and I remember seeing Miss Barber on one of Jamaica's posters there. So in my mind, Miss Barber was always somebody that I wanted to look on.
Yeah. I can attest to that too. Yes. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that's my quick memory there.
You remember there? Yeah. And I want to ask you about Miss Barbara, most famous science class, but we get to that. I want you went to that famous class. But so, Ozzy, what's some of the teachers them you remember that made us come to Meadowbrook? Yeah.
I remember quite a few of them. One of the nicest ones I think was Miss Wigan.
That's a Mark Wigan's mother.
Mark Wigan's mother.
Yeah.
Miss Headlam.
Yeah.
Mrs. McCallum, Mrs. Downey, Mrs. Atterbury, Mrs. Jones was actually my first form teacher. Mr. Here.
Yeah, the coach.
Right. He was a decent guy, Mr. Gooden. Even the ancillary staff. I mean, even they weren't teachers, but they were part of the staff. Manius and Pecker, Mr. Lewis, Mr. Senior.
Yeah.
Those people are the people I remember. Decent people. Decent. One famous teacher that what came to Meadowbrook was Miss Smith.
Oh, that's how the one who went to the beauty contest, right?
Right. And I'll tell you a story, guys. Miss Smith used to have her classes, extra classes on Saturdays at her house.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and there's a group of guys, fence and a couple of guys from the class used to go to her house on Saturdays, But we never learned anything, Richard. We just went to look at it.
I would learn anything I remember I always looked too, yes. I know.
That's pretty nice,
Yeah.
I'm sure you learn more than you really remember.
Yeah.
You probably didn't learn any academics.
Yeah. So all right, Merrick, what's about the friends that you remember when you just come to Meadowbrook in 1976?
Wayne Clark was one of them. He's the first guy I met there. We call him Sesame Street. Yeah, because he had a little issue with understanding. So I asked him the first day of class. And the way we met is that, if you remember, Prince and Ozzy, this was before your time, Ozzy, we had these new pencil sharpeners that on the face of it, there was like a hologram. And if you move it, the picture on it would move. Mm. And I had one of those, and he had something else. So I was curious as to what his was, and we started talking and asked him what his name was. But he thought I asked him what his favorite television show, and he said Sesame Street. So the name stuck.
Yeah.
Henley Johnson, Patrick Bolt, Hugh and Hannah, and what happened to Hugh was really sad. Earl Gammon, Andrea Wright, Karen Henry, Heather Hudson, Joan Robinson, I think, and Joan Nicholson, sorry. Janice Williams.
Right. You see beside, they were north from me, I'm from Bucas. I know her pretty well, and her family well, yeah.
Right. Joan Nicholson, Janice Williams times 3 or 4, because there were 4 Janice Williams in the class. And there was Sharon Vassell. I mean, I could go on. As I said, I'm cursed with a good memory.
Yeah.
I would sit in the back of the class with Sesame Street, because we actually, if you remember those desks that you would leave your books in, and people were stealing our books.
Yeah.
So what I did and what Wayne Clark did was we caught those lizards and we put them in our desk.
Yeah.
And while everybody else was learning and stuff like that, we were raising lizards in our desk to kind of divert people from stealing our stuff.
Scaring out the crooks want to take away a book. Yeah.
So I remember pretty much all my classmates, pretty much all of them I remember.
Wayne Clark father was in the military, I think. Was the same Wayne
Clark?
Right.
He was Captain Clark, right.
Yes, right. I remember that. And I think he had a sister who came to Meadowbrook too at the same time.
Cheryl Clark.
And went and I think she left and got immaculate or something like that.
Correct. And he had a younger brother, I think Xavier is his name. Is his name, yeah.
Yeah. So you, Ozzy, what's some of the friends that we meet when you just come to Meadowbrook the first, apart from Dante or Tegreg or Donovan Thomas, as they say?
Oh, quite a few, man. There was Louis Watts, Peter Champagne, Sean Hibbert, Jeffrey Gordon, Anthony Lysite, Mark Edwards, Richard Jones, Lincoln Smith, they used to call him Hanky Panky. A whole bunch of guys, and the girls, Carleen Grant, Carleen Mackinson, Dawn Byfield, Sonia Morris, Sonia Wilson, Sonia Thompson. Oh, it's quite a few of them. I know, I never forget them, because they were very people. I mean, Prince, I tell you something. I think my class 7H2 was one of the best classes in Meadowbrook that Meadowbrook ever produced. Trust me, 7H2.
And why you say that? Why you say that, Ozzy?
Well, we're very competitive.
Yeah.
Academically, and we in the sportsmanship, we're one of the top classes. I mean, we had guys like Paul Smith, one of the gobblers.
Yeah, one of the gobblers then, yeah.
Right. A guy named Bruce. When it came on to sports, we dominated it. Soccer, I was a goalkeeper for the class. And trust me, we're so good that the guys would bring a comic book and give me a comic book to sit on the goalpost. Because the balls would never come down to our goalpost.
Yeah.
Those are the people I remember. The guys I used to play cricket with Reds, Norman Lawrence, Peter Reds. Oh, a lot of them guys, man. They're good guys.
Yeah. So Merrick, when you came to Meadowbrook, your brothers, how much brothers and sisters were there before you say?
I had before me would have been 2 sisters and 1 brother.
Yeah. And
then after me would have been 1 sister.
So when you went to Meadowbrook, any of your brothers and sisters was there with you? Or were there with you? Sorry.
No.
That left before?
No.
They're much older than you then?
Right. When the one before me was leaving, I was entering.
Okay, it was the last year. Okay, I got you.
Right. There's no overlap.
No overlap at all. I got you, Merrick. I wanted to know if your brothers and sisters left any tradition at Meadowbrook that you had to follow. I just come in as a blank slate and I say, boy, you don't have no pressure for say. Sometimes you have an older brother or sister where either brilliant at school with the books or they might play sports or whatever. You didn't have that pressure at all because nobody knew you had a brother who came to Meadowbrook before.
Nobody knew anyone. No one knew that was there at the time.
Yeah.
Maybe a fifth form at that time. Yes, a fifth or sixth form at that time might have remembered.
Mm-hmm.
But other from that, no. And then I started with a blank slate because my parents had two sets of kids, the older set and the younger set. And between the first and the last, there are 24 years difference.
Wow.
So, right.
That's a generation apart. Yeah.
It's a generation apart. So I'm the eldest one in the younger set. So by the time I came, and the traditions and the way of thinking and the way of life between the older sets, same mother, same father, the ideals were different, completely different. We grew in two different worlds.
Oh, expand on that, Merrick. I'm curious about that. What do you mean by that?
All right. When they two were born in England, they were living in England, and the younger sets, including myself, were born in Jamaica. So their ideals, their way of life, their way of thinking was pretty much, and they were old enough when they left England. Their way of thinking was completely different than my way of thinking. And as far as the discipline was concerned, and the creation of a new family and the genesis and evolution of a new family, they kind of went through more hardships with my parents, who were younger parents at the time than we did, because by the time I was born, my father was well established. My parents were well established. So it was there's just a huge generational gap, which made a difference in terms of their, the way of life that the both set.
I understand exactly. I see what I mean. I mean, I am the youngest one in my family. But generation not so far apart. My older sister is 10 years older than me. And my younger sister went to Meadowbrook. It's 8 years older. So when I went to Meadowbrook, she wasn't there either. So I kind of, it's not as wide. But I see what I mean in terms that say, is a different. The mere fact say your older siblings them born in England and you born in Jamaica, that alone, I tell you, it's a different world. So understand what I mean. I didn't know that. That is. And then because your parents got more established, and I got a little of that too, in terms that say my parents actually had their own house by the time they had me. Whereas when my older brother, one brother I have and my sister them never. But me just grew up in a house, so me know at my own.
Yes.
So I said to you, me grew up from God all my life. Me lived there for 40 years till me come a foreign. So it's like me never know no else at all. Never know it's. I understand what I mean. Merrick. I understand exactly what I mean. So as Merrick talk about that, this come to mind as me there talk and I listen. You say you came from England. At what age did you come to Jamaica?
I came over when I was very young. I came over about 2 years old.
Oh, so you're not right then more than.
No, I don't. But with my father being military and my mother, they, I guess the way they spoke and stuff like that, I just adapted it and
the language,
yes, but we always had visitors coming back and forth, so I was never sort of out of touch.
You kind of. I swear, you never really talk. You talk a little bit of the language them. That's why I get and call you lad because your parents them talk with a nice British accent. Yes, I got.
Yeah, man. It was horrible. It was horrible. I got teased constantly.
Yeah.
And
Merrick, you weren't blessed with that at all because you just sound so much like a Jamaican. Me, I said there's no English in you at all, even though your siblings and my mother and father must have spoken some of the Queen's English around you. How come that happened?
I was told that when I was younger, it rubbed off on me. I don't remember anything about it because all six of them, the four kids and mother and father, did speak the Queen's English with that accent, and I was told. But I guess over the years, I lost it, and I have not yet
recovered it.
well, no, I don't have any intentions of doing that, but I have not yet drifted away from my Jamaican accent, and living away from Jamaica for 42 and a half years.
Yeah.
I tried it once and I bit my tongue and I realized it wasn't for me. Yeah. Yeah, and it was a hot bite, I tell you that. It wasn't for me. It was not for me. Yeah.
As they sound like you had something to say, go ahead.
No, man, no, I'm just laughing at Merrick, man. Because,
Yeah, because since I've been here, Merrick, I come here a little while. Much older. I came here, I was 38, right? 20 odd years ago. And I'm almost 60. I'll be 60 in December. And I'm saying, I have never even attempted, Merrick, to talk in a nothing but how you talk, Yes, I can talk the Queen's English, but if anybody I talk Jamaican straight up and anybody don't understand me, I slow down. I English see me and I talk it see me. So I can identify.
I don't think I've changed.
Go ahead.
I don't think I've changed. It's the same way I talk from Jamaica still now.
Yeah. Them understand you once you just talk slowly, a little slower, and you just lose just the Jamaican slang. And
It's funny. Part of my job is to do immigration, and I'll tell you this, Ozzy and Prince, you're going to find this funny, but it's the truth. A lot of my clients lose their accent on the way to the embassy. And then them don't even get a visa yet, but them lose their accent. So we talk about accent. They don't know if they can get a visa. They don't know if they can be successful. And going up the Standpipe or Whole Hope Road, them lose their accent.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because the embassy right across from Standpipe. Yes.
But, it's funny because I'll say this to you now that we're on the topic, and not to drift, of course, not to drift, but if you really examine brogue, that the Irish and Gaelic language called brogue, and I think because of our Irish overseers and the Scottish overseers that we had when Britain was in charge of Jamaica, if you really listen to an Irishman on television, close your eyes and listen to an Irishman speak brogue, you'd actually believe it's a Jamaican. And many times, I'm not sure if you guys ever had this experience where somebody would say, "Where are you from?" And you will get one of these, you sound like you're speaking brogue.
Yeah.
Which is the Irish dialect.
Irish dialect, yes.
See, because remember, our overseers were actually not necessarily the British. The British were there.
The owners.
The owners, yes. I love that word. They were the owners, but not the overseers.
Yeah, that's different. And Jamaica had lots of overseers, absentee landlord, as we used to call them. If you understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know exactly what I mean, Merrick. I can't relate to that. So, what you say now, a lot of the Jamaican language came from the Irish dialect.
Well, a lot of the accent came from
the accent. Sorry, the accent.
Right,
yeah.
Irish dialect. A lot of words that we use came from the African continent and the Indian continent, and from India. A lot of words that we use, but the actual dialect itself, and if you want to know the true Jamaican dialect, which was really reflective of brogue, go up to the cockpit country where the Maroons are and the descendants of the Maroons are. I'll tell you this, brothers, I had a hard time understanding them. I was like, wait a second, what are they saying? What am I saying? They speak patois with a different flair to it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it didn't change over the years.
Yeah. So Ozzy, you come Meadowbrook now in 1980. You'd have been a vision to say you wanted to play sports for Meadowbrook. You'd have been under pressure, like Merrick. You'd have no tradition to live up to. I mean, Meadowbrook, it wasn't known as a sporting school at the time, but you end up playing a lot of sports. Why?
Well, encouragement from my as I said before, I when I came to Meadowbrook, my classmates were very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
when we set out on a project to play another class or compete, we're always competitive. I don't know if I'm answering the question right, but I don't know. I just enjoy going to school, brother. I just
I just wanted to compete. No, right. No, man, understand. I'm Merrick, back to you. I don't even realize this because when I spoke to Oral, and you know Oral Shaw?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I wanted to come, but he was busy this evening with help me course. But it would have been an excellent course for me this evening with you here. Because Oral Shaw and Timon, I think, were in the same year together at Meadowbrook. Eventually ended up the same year. I think Oral was a year old. I don't remember. And
I think Oral was in the same class.
Same class, right? That's what I remember. I think both came from the same community of Arakal. And when Oral and Timon came on together, I realized, and you confirming this, you said that year, that group of people, students who came in the year 1970, in my mind, that's the year that produced the two Rhodes Scholars,
Yeah, that's Andrew Wright
and Cavell, right. And
right.
And you are confirmed to me, so that was the year in terms of intellectually, it was like a group of students that came to Meadowbrook. It was like beyond Oral, and you talk about Timon. Now I use Timon as the example because you're right about Timon. Quiet, very bright, and all them things. So you never have an ambition for playing a sport or not. Now you could have competed with those Brights one, or you fall behind.
I was never inclined for sports, and I'll tell you why. The way I looked on sports at that time, one of the guys I looked up to was Dammar, Stallion.
Right. Dammar, your right name. Call him right name, yeah? Right.
And soccer and cricket. I remember I was playing cricket one day, and a guy purposely took the ball and hit me on my leg.
Yeah.
And it cracked my bone, and I ended up down the road with surgery.
Wow.
To take out that crack, to take out that splintered bone that had now tumored. And I was never good at sports because the memory of that occasion haunted me. And then another day also, we were playing soccer, and Dean Nevins used to wear these cleats. And we'll talk about the Nevins family in a moment. As he's going to laugh, I was probably laughing under his breath right now because he knows what I'm going to say. But we were playing soccer, and soccer at the time was very brutal. Guys, you jump up to hit that ball, somebody kick away your foot. And I remember Dean Evans come towards me. I had the ball, and he lifted his cleats and slammed it into my knee.
Wow.
So I was never necessarily inclined for sports. I was more academics. And when I saw the brutality of 14-year-old doing things to each other, and as you know, the field was not level. It was not grassy. It was rocky. It was rocky. Considering we were at the hill foot of the hills, actually. So I suffered also from stones going up in my knee. And when I go home now, I'm bloody all over the place, and people were just really horrible towards each other at the time. So for me, and because I was introverted, and because I was not necessarily recognized and left behind in everything that I did, I remember one of the saddest things, and Timon War was amongst the group, dentist, Garfield Williams. Monday morning time, Prince, you would hear about somebody's pool party. You would hear about somebody's weekend gathering with all the other students, and hot dogs and hamburgers, and you were wondering what a hot dog tastes like and what a hamburger tastes like, and we were never invited. And even in the cadet force, year in, year out, people were being advanced, and for some reason, the 4 or 5 of us were never advanced. And I spoke to Neville Foster the other day, and he told me, because he was the bugler, if you remember. He was sergeant.
Yeah. I have a man go come here. Yeah.
Right, and he told me that there was pretty much favoritism in the cadet force as well as it was on the sports field. And I'm not sure it's because of who I am, who I was, or because of the way my parents grew us. We were never aggressive in our approach.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
never aggressive. So on the football field, on the cricket pitch, on the cadet grounds, we were never aggressive. I always mistakenly believed that good things come to good people, which I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong to even think that.
Yeah. 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 You learn that
So
pretty early. That is an unfortunate you learn early, Merrick. I am
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I am kind of surprised because I mean that wasn't my experience at all at Meadowbrook at the time. I came a year before you or 2 years before you. So I
hmm
but as I said, this is all about everybody giving them memories and perspective on them things. So I know,
Yes, that's all.
I understand. I understand. I do.
Uh,
Favoritism not gonna spoil anything. Favoritism and nepotism, if you want to call it the right way, where you pick a man because you know him and I'm friend.
Yes.
That
We,
yeah, go ahead, Ozzy.
no,
we, which,
I'm
is the,
listening.
Yeah.
yeah, which is the reason why I respected Miss Headlam, because Miss Headlam had her son there, Michael,
Yeah.
and Miss Headlam treated Michael the same way she treated everybody else.
Yeah, Michael was in the same class.
Yes, and Michael did not receive any favoritism from
Special treatment
his
from his
mother.
mother. Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember she would rough him up even more because
Yeah. Yeah.
we were all kids at the time, and Michael displayed this great respect for his mother, and so Miss Headlam, Miss Headlam was exemplary in my mind as far as being fair and impartial.
Yeah, man. And that's, trust me, that's all you want, Merrick. That's something you say that in it. Like, you just want to be treated just as equally as the other man. And as you're right to say, it's almost like,
As I was waiting for that one from day one, as I was
Uh,
waiting for this for almost 45 minutes.
Before he goes any further, Jelly, Miss Nevins is actually my cousin.
okay,
Right.
got you. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead, Fred.
So when I told the story to Ozzy, he revealed that Sonia Nevins was his cousin. So we had Dean Nevins who cleated me in my I hope that's still a clean word.
Yeah.
He cleated me in my knee, and so now we were in class, and Miss Nevins was a young teacher, fresh out of training school, I guess.
Just call it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And and Jelly, it's funny that I say that because, Ozzy, when you really think about it, a lot of these teachers were only like 6 years older than
Yeah,
us.
man.
If
No,
you
no,
really
yeah. You're right,
all.
you're right, Merrick. Most of these teachers are young teachers.
Yes,
Yes,
they were kids. They were kids, 22, 23 years old.
yeah.
Hormones still kicking up inside of them.
Yeah.
See, so Miss Nevins now, looking back now, would have been probably, based on her date of birth and stuff, would have been about 22, 23. And first day of class, a nation that was getting involved in higher education for the inner city youth.
Yeah, I know.
And
Yeah.
Right. And more kids from the inner city, more and more underprivileged kids, people from Rock Hall and people from Portmore and stuff were now having the ability to attend these prestigious high schools. And the evolution of teaching was not yet at the point where corporal punishment would have been eliminated, where ADHD, attention hyperdeficit disorder, would have been recognized, where even girly behavior amongst boys would have been tolerated, and where things such as anger management, things such as poverty, a hungry belly, leading to not being able to study properly. These things were not yet identified in Jamaica as a whole as being an affecting factor of a child's ability or inability to learn.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting to understand that schools now have guidance counselors and psychological counselors and nurses, which we had, but never the psychological part of it, which Jamaica has proven itself to have evolved because of maybe the trauma and the hardship that our class, had to endure. And we endured it. For example, there's no more Mr. Thorpe caning people nowadays.
Yeah. That cut out the school now, that's what you're saying.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
So thank God that Jamaica did evolve from that, and there are no more teachers calling people stupid and dunce and those things.
Yeah. That was. You're right, bro.
Sorry.
That was.
Mhm.
I got insulted in a different way when I was in first farm, and a teacher, I couldn't draw at all for art,
Yeah.
and I draw something and I show the teacher, and the teacher looked at me and said, "Boy, Mr. Prince, I do good from afar, but it's far from good." So. And the class erupted. But the point is, as Merrick, I never felt that insult after me, years after me, I said, but she get one over me, because I was one of the sharp mouths, you know, and the challenge teacher, like you. And you see, you said something in America, I don't know why I glossed over it, you know. The fact that you're on the Rhodes Scholar had the courage and the tenacity to stand up and say, no, and challenge the teacher. That to me was the freedom where you allow a Meadowbrook for the certain things, you know. You follow me?
Yes.
Because, yeah, in a sense, you think about it, you know. I think one of the reasons why she never take it to Mr. Tarp, you know, or to higher authority. And that is what teaching is supposed to be about. Not about just a regurgitate where in the book. I said, no, you know what, that is not accurate at all. And she could have taken it away, but yeah, but one of them things. But as I said, Merrick, I go through, not as vicious as you in terms of on the football field or the cricket field, because I was a competitor. And I just never have them experience of Merrick. I'm not taking nothing from you at all. As I say, and that happens sometimes. It just so the world works sometimes. I just understand what I say.
Well, remember, you know, we were the first class to experience the newness of high school in that block and to experience Miss Nevins.
Yeah.
I believe we were her first class as well.
Oh yes, you're right about that. It was a different. It would have been different for me because my teachers were more experienced, far more experienced than older teachers than the younger teachers.
Sure.
You're right.
Sure.
So Ozzy.
Yes, sir.
Ozzy, I hear you laughing in the background, but that's okay.
No, I mean, Merrick and myself, I got over that story numerous times, you know. So it's,
So when you found out you were related to Mrs. Nevins, Ozzy, after school or while you were at school?
I actually found out after school because, you know, Prince, my family goes to St. Anne, and it's huge. And, you know, I have relatives that I keep meeting them every day because they're all over the place. When I was at school, I had people in my class who were my actual cousins.
Yeah.
I didn't know until way after the fact, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, even came down as far as his mom was actually related to my grandmother. Mrs. Evans and a whole bunch of them. Everybody mixed up. So I went to school, went to Meadowbrook with a lot of cousins that I didn't know about.
Yeah. I hear you, man.
Mix up.
So let me ask you a question, Ozzy. Any fun memories you have of Meadowbrook, either in the classroom and a field trip?
I had good memories all around. You know, as I told you, you know, a couple of weeks ago that, you know, I tried out for the cadet force.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you have that drill where you have to do the about turn.
Yeah. I don't know what you call it because I'm not a cadet at all. Go ahead, yeah.
You have to take the right leg, and you got to put it into T and do the about turn.
Yeah.
And for the hell of it, I could not get it. I mean, I would just slam my right foot into my left foot, and my left foot would go flying.
So that drop, you're that drop, Ozzy?
Man, dropping my body, man. You know, the amount of laughs them guys started to give us and stuff like that. I didn't give it. I was like, that was one failure right there, you know. But good memories. I mean, you know, the competitiveness, as I said before, academically was my best memories. You know, there were about 4 or 5 guys in class that were, you know, we used to, after we get our papers graded.
Yeah.
They would actually, if I got a better grade than them, they would come and question me. How come I got a better grade than them?
Yeah.
You know, and they would actually go to the teacher and actually try to debate that, you know, why they shouldn't have gotten a better grade than I, you know, that they should get a better grade than I.
Yeah.
You know, and but those are the good memories, it built stuff. I mean, Peter Champagne was known for that, that if he got a low grade, I mean, he wanted to find out where the problem was, what he did wrong, go back to the teachers and, go over our papers to make sure that he didn't do something, that he did the right thing. And, and that's the way he is, to this day, very competitive, doesn't back down, does a thorough job, whatever he does.
Yeah, and
Yes.
that is a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. And you, Merrick, you have any fun memories of fun in a classroom trip or anything while you were at Meadowbrook?
I remember seeing color TV for the first time when we went to Jam and Tell. That was a long trip, but my fondest memory is the becoming of age. The becoming of age.
Hold on, Merrick. Jam and Tell was the one who was at St. Thomas attack?
Yes.
Yes, that's a long trip. That's a long trip for a schoolboy. Yeah.
Yes, and we were looking on two things I remember. The Jam and Tell trip, and we were looking on the alley, I think Fraser fight.
Yes, yeah.
Which was being broadcast from Africa, I believe, the Rumble in the Jungle.
That's a 76, yeah.
And the operators of the Jam and Tell Center, some men in their white shirt and ties, were looking on color television and some huge satellite dish.
Yeah.
I remember getting lost on a school trip to Holywell. Richard Nelson and I got lost, and we were walking around till we finally found back the group.
Yeah.
But the fondest memory, to be honest with you, on a more serious note, and this is going to come across as comedic, but it's not, was the coming of age of a young boy, of a young man that started to feel his attraction to young girls.
Yeah.
And the feelings that you experience, the confusion, the concept of, wow, your friend, your female friend, you're now being attracted, and you start to see your female friend in a different way, and started to have these feelings that you could not really enumerate or explain.
Yeah.
And for me, that coming of age took place at Meadowbrook. That becoming, if I may use that term. And the other fun memory was the day for Reverend Ward's 100th birthday.
I remember that, yes.
Right, the cadet force did the parade, and we honored him. And that was exciting for us also to see one of the founding fathers of our school, and this tall gentleman that was really distinguished and dignified, standing there at that grand old age. And the look on his face was, in my opinion, the look of great pride. And to see the Reverend Ward standing there and overseeing the parade and inspecting us was, for me, one of the most memorable occasions. And that was right before we left, right before I left Jamaica in 1980. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I've never heard somebody describe it the way you describe it. Mary, coming of age, that is...
Yes.
That is profound. I mean, and you're right. All of us would have gone through it, because that was the age when all of us changed in terms of that. And I never think about it the way you think about it. But you're right. You're right.
Yes.
If you pay attention to it, that is, you were mature beyond your years. In fact, for mature in a sense where you probably never know what to do with it, but you recognize it. You recognize it. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Go ahead.
What I did learn not to do with it was to broadcast it, because I tell you, I tell the both of you something. The girl could have ugly the moment you say you like her, 10 man rush her.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong, gentlemen?
No. You want to show interest, man. I got rush on it. Yes.
And I tell her, I said, don't talk to him about
Don't talk to him at all. I talk, start all kind of news about you and all things. Say this or that. Yeah.
Sell back what I live in.
Yeah. But let me ask you something, though, because I mentioned this earlier in the introduction, I say, Were you at that famous biology class that Miss Barber had?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I want the perspective now from a student angle because when Miss Barber was on this, and Mrs. Bramley, because she later married and became Mrs. Bramley, and she's now Mrs. Bramley, I said to her she was either the bravest teacher who ever come and ever put on a class like that. So tell me from your experience exactly what happened. It was your biology class, or you just hear about the class and go visit the class today?
Was it the one where that thing exploded?
No, I'm not talking about the one when she went.
She had the nudeness about it.
No, I'm talking about the one where she went down to the clinic on a Slipe Road and she was teaching about preventing sexually transmitted disease. So she had that.
Yes.
You know what? You were at that class.
Yes, I was, and there was a lot of giggles.
Yeah.
And
the class was overcrowded at the seam, bursting at the seam, Merrick.
Yes, a lot of giggling. But for me, coming of age at that time, I did not know what to do with it because I kept thinking about this young girl on the school ground and imagining. That class made me imagine having kids with that young girl and owning a house together and living happily ever after. And in case you ever hear this, her name is Andrea Francis.
Yeah.
You see? So it was one of those things that was revolutionary in nature. And again, the coming of age and learning about these things.
Now, what year? Hold on, Merrick. Sorry, don't cut you. What year was this class? You remember what year? I know you have a good memory. What year it was?
78, I think it was.
78. So as it was not school yet. Okay, yeah.
No.
And Miss Barber probably was in our second or first year Meadowbrook, our second year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was young and vivacious.
Yes.
And my attention now was turning from her and the white gym teacher that used to wear these short shorts.
Miss Parry. Yes, man.
And have these knickers underneath.
Yeah.
And always seem to be bending over to pick up something.
Yeah.
Not sure why. But because it's a family-oriented program, we'll just leave it as that.
We'll keep it PG friendly, Merrick. Yeah.
But all of that was a coming of age for a young man, you know.
Yeah.
That was just reflective and of a young man coming of age. So that particular class kind of blew our mind because we did not know much about certain things.
No, that was a revolutionary class, Merrick.
It was, and she was brave and bold.
Yes.
And you know, it was sure if she did it because of that or because she was truly concerned about sexuality and the ramifications of certain unprotected sex.
Yeah. I think she was more concerned about the ramifications than unprotected sex. Because I think she was of the age where she recognized it was going on and she has to make sure teaching about it, which I think was, in my mind, as risky as it was, because she never asked for no permission.
No.
Just did it. It was risky as it was. I think it was a bold and a brave move, and I think it was well worth doing because it opened up a whole heap of students' eye about things that they have never seen before, Merrick, because that is not something you're going to learn from your parents. You're just not aware of them things at all. Your parents never going to talk to you about them things, Merrick. You don't know that.
Right. In fact, I'll tell you this, Prince. In fact, and Ozzy, I want to bring you into this conversation here. It was a bit embarrassing also, and it left me shooken up as far as wow, because the myths you would hear on Reddles Road from guys that sit on there, all our meds with them one another, a bunch of dunce, of course, and them drunk or them high, and them holding our meds about this, that, and the other, and what am I going to do when them catch this girl and blah, blah, blah. And to hear the flip side of this, it's like, where did this come from? Is this really real? Is this really true?
Yeah.
So, amongst the giggles in the beginning, the aftermath of it was the fear and the realization and recognition that, hey, this was not to be taken lightly.
Could be life-threatening. It could be life-threatening, exactly. Both males and females, exactly.
And the reference that I drew that day, if you remember in first form, as you were not there was a classmate of mine that was hacked to death by his gardener. Him and his mother were hacked to death by the gardener.
Yeah. You remember that, Merrick? Because
Yeah, Nigel, something or another. Yeah, that was like, oh yeah, I remember that
no, you know
clearly.
why I asked you because I must send you that podcast because Christopher Cheddar, I think he was in your class too. Him remember that.
Christopher, yes,
Him remember that.
yeah,
It didn't even traumatize him up to now. Him talk about that
it, yeah,
fully as Merrick. Him talk about that incident. I didn't know about it. I didn't remember it. So you were in
yeah.
this class, Merrick?
It traumatized me. I was a little boy's friend. We were friends. He was Indian like myself, or half
Yes,
Indian.
yes. No man, cause Cheddar went time to play up on the Sunlight team and the cricket team, and I'm a good friend. And he
Yes,
talked to me about that, and then when the podcast come on, him spend about 30 minutes to talk about it, Merrick.
yeah.
So if you want
And
to talk about it from your perspective, I'd love if you talk about it. I didn't realize that you were a friend with I forget his name.
might have been Nigel or something like
I
that.
remember a picture him on my phone and him name and everything. I can see if I see it and send it to you. I remember him because Christopher talked about it, man. I'm Christopher talk. But
Yeah.
go ahead, Merrick.
Well,
Sorry.
we were playing the day before. We were playing the day before, and the next day, because it happened the same day that we were playing, and he went home. And apparently, some rift between his mother and the gardener. The gardener might have had mental issues, and the gardener took the machete and hacked the mother and hacked him to death. And I don't think there was a father involved at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the next morning, now I saw his picture in the newspaper, and I figured I didn't go and tease him because he must have become famous or something. You know, you see a classmate picture in the newspaper. What comes to mind is not death, but what comes to mind is that
I'm popular,
somebody
you
take a
know.
picture. Yeah, you're popular, you're famous. So when I got to school now, there was a somber, dark atmosphere, and the news started to circulate quickly. And then my intent to tease my classmate and to kind of ruffle his feathers about being famous now became one of darkness and sadness. And I remember that day as clearly as I remember this morning, that my heart sunk. There was a certain sad anger inside of me. And my imaginative brain, because I've always had an imaginative brain, kept going through each striking of that cutlass into the young man's body.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not so much his mother. I have met his mother. I met his mother but I did not know his mother. You know, you meet people as they're
Yeah.
And I will tell you this: the graphic nature of that article about the spewing of the blood and stuff. I actually smelt the blood.
Douglas
I
Johnson was
actually
his name.
heard
Douglas Johnson, Merrick.
Douglas. Yes.
I'm going to send you the
Dougie.
article here. I have the article here with Gardner. Because Christopher had sent it to me. Douglas, I'm going to send it to you.
When you have a chance to send it to me, yeah, Dougie, we call him.
Yeah.
And Dougie was like Timon. He was like Sesame Street. He was like Garfield Williams. He was an innocent, wonderful little kid, a child that I would say was very much like me, timid and introverted, but just a wonderful guy to have as a friend. And I for the few months that we knew each other, because he died the same year we started school.
Yes, it was November. Christopher, remember the date. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, it was what, 2 months after we started school.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that we experience death every day, and for something that happened close to 50 years ago.
Yeah,
at
you
least.
still remember it, yeah.
Yeah, 76 till now. We have 56 years.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the color of his hair. I remember the curliness in his hair. I remember the color of his skin. I remember his voice. It was extremely traumatic and sad, and it left me at that time grappling to understand the harshness of life. Again, Meadowbrook was a coming of age. And it left me grappling with understanding man's inhumanity towards man.
Yeah.
And it left me wanting more out of my childhood than just remembering these things and dealing with these deaths. And up until this day, I will, and I hope I'm honoring Dougie by keeping his wonderful smile, his face alive in my memory, because that young man did not deserve death. He deserved to be amongst us today. Yes, yes, yes.
No, and I want because I did the same thing on Christopher's program. I want Anaheim because most one of those Meadowbrook Soul that just went away too soon.
Yes.
I said to you, I send you a picture, and I went send you a picture of Ozzy.
Take a look on his smile. Take a look on his smile.
Yeah,
man.
I sent you a picture to Ozzy. It was like, if you remember this youth here, and when I look upon him, I just say, I'm glad I didn't even know, Merrick, that this conversation was going to come up because I didn't quite remember that you and Christopher were in the same year. And I traumatized it. I just say, you remember it almost 50 years later. It never leave you at all. It did not leave you at all. Did not leave you at all. That must have been waiting him there. So I'm glad you're talking about it because it's part of the memory.
Sure.
It's part of the Meadowbrook memory, man. It's part of the Meadowbrook memory. So
on a more pleasant note, though, and I will say this. I'll say this to Ozzy too. Ozzy, I share this with you. In first form and in second form, we had a teacher by the name of Mr. Arms.
I remember him,
yeah. Mr. Arms' brother was the High Commissioner. He was Sir Donald. No, we had Donald Arms was our teacher. I think Michael Arms, Sir Michael Arms, or whatever, was the Indian High Commissioner at the time, assigned by Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And you see all those cherry trees and mango trees?
Yeah.
Is my class plant them. And I was lucky enough this year to go back to Jamaica, and I got a mango off of the tree, and I ate the mango, and I remembered Mr. Arms, and I remember back in 1976, Mr. Arms, and 77, Mr. Arms said to us, we're planting these trees, and one day you'll come back and eat a mango off it. And I did.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yes.
Yeah. So as I don't feel like say we're making Merrick monopolizing it because that does.
No, I'm sure, man. I'm enjoying this, man.
No, because I'm coming to you now because I want to ask you some questions or Merrick might can't relate to in terms of that because Merrick was not at school. You were, and you came a Meadowbrook at that time, and Meadowbrook became a dominant force on the cricket field and on the sports field. It became a sports powerhouse in the 1980s, right?
Right.
And you were at school when we won the first Sunlight Cup in 1982.
I think I was.
Right? So, how did that make you feel? You know somebody with them were up on the team. Because Kevin Reese, I think, was in the same farm. He was on the squad, I think.
Kevin and myself were in the same. He was ahead of me.
He was ahead of you, okay. But you know him.
Yeah, but I knew him from prep school, you know.
And Tegrig was around the team, was almost a part of the team. I had him in the same class, yeah.
Tegrig, Paul Smith, Patrick Smith, some of the, you know, I wasn't really, I never really followed up sports, but I was very proud when we won these competitions. But I remember guys like Goosey, Piggy,
Piggy.
I don't know, they just call him Piggy. I
remember him. I remember him.
You know, oh God, the names I can't rattle off right now. But I remember, you know, the teams going out, winning Manning Cup, Sunlight, doing a different thing, Colts, Pepsi, and it made us really proud. You know, the entire school was happy. You know.
Sorry.
But the Gobblers, you know, they were amazing. Amazing guys.
Sorry. Sign this up. No. Yeah. So it made you feel a different way. Because you were at school until 1985 and won more than one trophy. It made a different feeling to you then when Meadowbrook started winning.
Of course. You know, I could go home and show off for my brother, you know, who had the Calabar, you know.
And a Calabar beat up the 2-time, yes. Yeah.
You know,
give it bragging rights, yes.
That's of course, man. You know.
Some go ahead, Ozzy. It sounds like you had something else to say.
No, I just following up. I'm not, you know, the guys I went, you know, as I said, I was not really a sports guy.
No, we understand. We understand that. Because Tegrig never really played sports to that, but he was around the team.
Yeah, you know, I always that guy is missed class like crazy, man. But, you know, I just don't understand how he did it. You know, not talking about him, but Tegrig, Paul Smith, they used to go to these matches and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
They missed classes. And I just know these guys did it because they missed so much class. But they were able to come back academically and do so well.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Talk about that on film podcast, exactly.
You know?
It
You
never.
know?
Yeah, some people gifted away the man. Them are just come mash up the exam, even though them not, it look like them not go school, right? And them not go class, right? Right.
You know?
I'm,
You know, but
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Merrick, because I know you weren't sports oriented, but you migrated what year? You left school in 1980. You didn't go to fifth farm.
No, I left in the fourth form. Right at the time the war broke out in Jamaica. And if you remember, at the time, they were taking away people's land, and the Chinese and the Jews and the Indians were targeted because we were supposed to be merchants.
Yeah, merchant class. Yeah.
Right. And then we were individually, you're allowed. Ozzy, I don't know if you know this, but individually, there was a time in Jamaica when you're traveling to the United States, individually, you're allowed $18 American, or as a family, $52.
Yeah. I remember that, Merrick, yes.
Yeah, we ran and left everything behind. We ran and left everything behind.
Your life was more important. Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. And for the record, Merrick, I could declare it, because people hear your voice, and you're from Indian descent, because, and I might know it from the last name, but we're not seeing about the face, but I just want to declare it, because, yes, if all I'm saying to you, because you were one of those, because at the time, it didn't get so political and so dark that some people think they had to leave, and rightly so.
Yes.
Rightly so.
Yes.
Rightly so. So your father, yeah, go ahead.
a lot of politicians left.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of kids that I went to school with that their parents were involved in politics and, of high color or whatever, and they had to leave. And they either left the house or the house was sold for very little.
Yeah, man, a lot of that happened in 1980. That was prime in terms of, say, a lot of that happened. People just leave because they have to flee for safety, rightly so.
Yeah.
I remember this dreadlocks, he came to the house and he said to my dad that, when the administration takes over, he's going to come and build his house in our front yard.
Yeah. And where you ready for that time, Ozzy?
Cassia Park,
okay. Yeah. Boy, as I said to you, when I hear in the story, I live at Pembroke, and I never got through none of that at all. And I look older than none, and I just didn't experience that at all. My peers never felt like they had to leave, or none of that. And for the record again, Merrick, my mother could have passed as white. If all I'm saying to you, she was a factory worker still, she worked at a biscuit company beside the NGA. She worked as a factory worker. She was no professional or no high in terms of high professional, let me put it that way. But she was a factory worker. But she never felt like, at no point I remember my mother feeling the fear when she had to leave. So the experience different again. You know what I'm saying to you?
Yes, and it's funny you say that because as he was baptized in fire with that headless body on Riddleswood, which I'm calling common assault, Pembroke was one of those places where I would not want to go.
Yeah.
I think Pembroke, those places like, no man, I'm not going on this up because you never can tell what could happen to you. And here you are making the same declaration that I made earlier that it was home.
Yes, no, I tell you, Pembroke was home for me, man. I never felt unsafe. Yeah. Despite any of the heights of the political battle, Pembroke was untouched as American as we can't tell you that.
Yeah.
Because I lived there. I never leave Pembroke until 2000, 20 years after that. I never leave there at all. I never felt like, say, I was threatened or on a threat at all. Because Pembroke was one of those. In a sense, Pembroke was one of those special community which was untouched by the violence because it was never politicized a certain way. You see what I'm saying to you? So,
if I'm wrong, tell me. I mean, I think it's still that way,
I've not been there for 20 years. The last time I went there was 6 years ago when my mother died, and I went to her funeral. And most of the time it's still that way, but from reports I heard in the last couple of years, it is kind of getting a lane to a way where it not coming so comfortable. People live there for years, still feel comfortable, because still talk to people from the area. So, but it's not as, it looks like it's on the turning point where it might get worse.
Because back in your days, my cousin used to live down there too, the Alexander family, Indian people, Jimmy Alexander, Dixie Alexander.
Which
Pisa.
part of Pembroke that, Merrick? Where, you know the road?
I think it's number 57. If you call the road, I'll tell you. It was on the main. It was actually on the main.
Oh, Pembroke Drive.
Pembroke Drive. I think number 57 or number 27.
Okay.
It's Indian family. And they said the same thing too. They said the same thing you just said, that it was the safest place in the world.
Yes, man. No, yes. Where's Alexander the name you said, Merrick?
Alexander, yeah. And a guy used to live next door to them named Aloysius. They call him Lushy, light color guy.
Yeah, Wood, the Wood family?
Yeah.
Man.
Aloysius
Yes.
Wood. Yes.
Yeah, man. The sister was ambassador to the UK recently. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, man. No. I know that family well. I don't know them. I have a friend who I talked to earlier today, a doctor friend who I talked to earlier today. I know them pretty well because I went to the Methodist church just up the road. So, yeah, man, I know the family you're talking about.
Well, my family live right, they share the same fence with Aloysius.
With all them, yes. And as a matter of fact, and I'm not sure because my mother last name is Wood and look, have the same complexion like them. So, I don't know if they're related one way or the other. I don't know. I never have checked on that, but yeah, I know of them. I know of them. I know of them. I know all of them in terms of the older one alone. The sister them Lushy had a younger brother and all them things. So,
yeah.
So yeah. But the question
small
I want to ask you, it is a small world, man. Pembroke is a safe community. Like what I felt at Meadowbrook anyway. I felt safe at Meadowbrook. Unlike most other schools, Pembroke is a safe community. Well, the question I want to ask you, Merrick, is when you migrated now and you hear Meadowbrook win trophy, did that have an impact on you in terms of Meadowbrook actually started to compete with them at bigger school? I never hear about it at all. Or because you said
I heard about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Tell me the feeling.
I heard about it, but because I was more in the cadet, and I was more interested in the inclusion of females in the cadet force, and I was already impressed with track and field from Meadowbrook. I was not surprised. And if I was surprised, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. By the winning, yes, I got you.
Yes, because remember, I've always looked on Meadowbrook as a whole.
Yeah.
Not counting the Sonia Nevins and the other little incidents.
Yeah.
I've looked at Meadowbrook as a whole, as a top high school in Jamaica.
Yeah. The total picture I look on, I make the little
Exactly.
Yes, I hear you.
So for Meadowbrook to win the Manning's Cup, for Meadowbrook to win this
Sunlight Cup. Right. Manning Cup, yeah.
Right. For Meadowbrook to win all of those, in my mind, at that time, it was, come on, it's about time.
I got you.
The time has come.
So you were in the same class with John Muir then?
No, John, I think so. That's Donat's younger brother, right?
No, John and Dan are not related at all. John Muir is a different.
I think I was.
John was a runner too. John used to run with Dean Nevins and Howard Thomas.
I was in the same class.
But John came to Meadowbrook, I think, in second from St. Mary's. He had been on the podcast too, so I did just a check. So yeah.
Speaking about that, hey, Prince, a whole heap of people come from country, and I don't know how they make it down to Meadowbrook. And a whole lot of people come from Trelawney and even to say Portmore and traveled every day to Meadowbrook. And Meadowbrook was one of those schools that was inclusive of all island kids.
Yeah, man. Meadowbrook was a special place, man. Meadowbrook is a special place in terms of when you go there, you feel at home and all of it. Yes. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. But me ask him some more questions. Believe it or not, where they talk for 90 minutes already, and it's like, me never ask a question yet, we just talk. You see me, I say, yeah.
Hey, we're old enough. We're old. We have bedtime coming up soon. We're old. And it's Sunday.
We're going to write some piece soon. I hear. All our old. I mean, the oldest one, but say yes. But me ask some more questions now, because this conversation is good. This conversation is nice. Let me ask you this question. I'm sorry to do as what the most embarrassing moment you remember at Meadowbrook where you can look back on with a smile?
Oh, embarrassing.
That you can look back on and laugh about. That's what I want you to tell me about. That's the one.
Perfect. When I was in about fourth form, Miss McLennan, she have that clap business,
Yes. Yeah, man. Clap your.
Yeah. So there's a guy in class, myself decided to cut class,
Yeah.
for the day. Just was bored, So we decided to leave.
Yeah.
So we're walking on the driveway. His name was Peter Reynolds. And I tell you, Peter never forgive me for bro. I'll tell you what. But anyway, walking on the driveway, and we think we get through to the gate, just about a few yards from the gate. All of a sudden you hear, you boys, come on. Where you going? McLennan said, Jesus have mercy. What excuse we're going to tell her? And I mean, I'm frozen. I mean, Peter's like, stumbling for words and stuff like that. So she asked me, where am I going? And I said to her, well, I'm going to the tailor's. I have an appointment at the tailor to get some.
We're sharp, was it? Yeah.
So Taylor, she look at me like, with a look, and, I'm pretty sure in her mind she's saying, he's lying,
Yeah.
The only reason I'm not going to speak to today is because I know you had appendix surgery a few weeks ago. So go ahead. And she looked at Peter Reynolds and give him some clots and said, go to the office.
Yeah.
Man, the next day I come back to school, man, Peter was so pissed at me, man. He was like, I just can't understand. You get away and I get the worst of it, It was embarrassing,
You were sickly at the time.
And you... Yeah, go ahead, Ozzy, finish.
But before it was, that was one of the more embarrassing times. You get caught.
Yeah, you get busted. You get busted.
Right
And you're sharper than your friend. You can't think on your feet.
I had to catch you real quick, Damn.
Not everybody can. Not everybody have a gift at all. They get caught. I say, okay.
He's just a better liar, that's all.
Yes, that's... Look like him should have your profession, Merrick, right? It should be.
There you go. I get paid for mine,
Exactly. All right, Merrick, so the same question to you. And remember the question, good now, embarrassing moment, you can look back on with a smile.
Yeah, I already said one. I'm going to say two more, but I already said one with Miss Richards in Carib Theatre.
Yeah.
The other one was I went to school and I used to have this little habit where when I don't want to go to school, I would drink bitters in the morning and start to throw up. And my mother...
that was Angostura bitters, right?
Yes. And when you drink it before breakfast, man, it's violent heaving. And so this is my confession now. So I know throw up all over my clothes, and I did it on purpose. No, I never want to leave home. I never want to go to school.
You don't want to go to school at all. I hear you.
Right. And I used to do it once in a while. So my mother caught on to me now, and she said, all right, you're over going to do it now. And she gave me because I threw up all over my clothes. She said, all right, I never know now, sir. My mother, they have a short khaki pants for me. No, me a big boy now, me I wear long pants and, give me the short pants for we go to school.
What form you at that time, Merrick?
I think third form.
Wow.
So now I got school, and what my mother did to add insult to injury, we have a little kitten, and my mother put the kitten in my bag.
Wow.
So when I reach school, I open up my bag, the push come out of my bag. And embarrassed.
Are you in a short pants?
Yeah, in my short pants. I want to catch them. So that was an embarrassing moment for me. And, you see, that was a rough day for me, man. I tell you the honest truth. That was a rough day.
Yeah.
And the other time was when stupid me, and this was embarrassing and traumatic. Stupid me, waiting on Earl Gammon, Pele, and Hugh and Hannah, who, if you remember, used to play money football on the desk, mash up the people, them desks,
scrape out money football. Yes. With the 40 stick and all of me there. Yes.
And it was a Friday, and all I heard were, gentlemen, Like Jesus Christ, Mr. Thorpe caught us. I was standing there waiting on them. They said, Monday morning, come into my office.
See me in my office, Merrick. The most
Yes.
dreaded word you are here from.
No. And then I was ashamed to tell my father, because my father would have come down there and quash it, but I was afraid to tell him, say, he got caught. And I was doing absolutely nothing.
You just a watch.
Just watching and waiting. So what I did now, I find every single underwear I could find, all my sister underwear, and put them on Monday morning to go to school. Because I know what was
you know what you know, famous word, you get a cane in. Yes.
Bend over.
Yeah.
And seeing the same young lady that I like looking at me with great disappointment, and no one knew how 98% of the guys in my class felt, because Mr. Thorpe never, ever, ever spear anybody the rod at that time.
No.
So, yes.
I hear you, Merrick. All right, Ozzy, a couple more questions, and then, but let me ask you the next one, Ozzy. What the best learning experience you get from Meadowbrook? The best learning experience you get from Meadowbrook? Discipline, okay, nice.
Discipline, perseverance, but basically, discipline and perseverance, how to conduct yourself, they taught me how to be responsible, if they tell you to be somewhere at a certain time, be there at a certain time, don't give up on your dreams, whatever you had, whatever you set out to do, don't get distracted. You might get distracted along the way, but don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Just continue.
Yeah, you finished, Isaac. I'm not sure if you're breaking up, all right. Finish? You sound distant, Ozzy. You there?
Yeah, I'm still here, man. I'm still here.
Okay, all right, cool. I wasn't certain that you were breaking up or not. And you, Merrick, what the best learning experience you get from Meadowbrook?
I started off the program by saying discipline was, and I joined with Ozzy and wholeheartedly and say that discipline was primary amongst what I gathered from Meadowbrook. But I will never forget the beauty, the raw beauty of Miss McLennan. And call her whatever you want to call her, as I said. Refer to her whatever you want to refer to her as. I really believe that lady was an angel. And she said to me one day, privately, she said, "You are the future." And I never understood what she meant. I did not understood what she meant. Miss McLennan actually was the one instrumental in 1981, when I already left Meadowbrook in 1980, that she sent a signed copy of the yearbook, the famous yearbook now. And thanks to you, Prince, I have one again. She sent a signed copy from all the teachers. And as I told you, my brother took it, and I don't know what he did with it, with his mentality. So I learned from her the concept that tomorrow will come. I was a little boy at that time, not understanding that little boys will grow up into young men, into men, and eventually into older men. And now that I am of this age, Miss McLennan's words not only resonate at high volumes and decibels, but it prepared me to accept, to embrace, and to thoroughly understand what she meant, that I was going to be the future. So using Miss McLennan's words now to all the listeners of this program that are still in school, young ladies and young gentlemen, you are in fact going to be the future. And that the future is really in your hands. And you might have heard about Miss McLennan and whatever other names, and I'm not going to disrespect her with any other name except the wonderful angelic Miss McLennan.
Miss CLC McLennan.
E.L.C. McLennan, very distinguished, very
Coretta,
distinguished.
Leonora. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Wonderful angel on earth as far as academics were concerned,
Yeah.
that you are, in fact, the future.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
And wherever she is, my extreme and undying and eternal love to that wonderful angel.
She inspire America. I love that.
Yes.
She did for a lot of students. She touched a lot of students, and it is.
Yes.
Somehow she know who to touch, Somehow she knew some people need a special touch.
Yes.
And she did that for you, and I'm happy.
Yes.
I'm happy. Yeah.
Yes.
I just say,
yes.
And this is the thing about the beauty about memories, Everybody have different memory about different people, You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
To you? And you don't challenge somebody's memory and the feeling them up for somebody else at all. And I'm happy you said that, because Hitchcock and Tegrig have both wonderful memories of Miss McLennan, and them see her as an angel, just like you, as they. So
Very good.
Merrick, sorry, yeah.
Good. And I'm glad they did, because they were thinking on a different level than just the skin teeth, follow fashion, name calling business that kids could have been engaged in at any given time.
Right. Good. I love that answer. And you go ahead, Ozzy. Someone like you has up to say?
I just saying about Miss McLennan, a lot of people, when they came to Meadowbrook, they were afraid of her, because of her strictness and stuff like that. But as you got to know her and go through the grades and stuff like that, I realized she was a really nice person, really down to earth,
caring
person. Because I know that my mother had left, left and went to the States, and I was pretty much in Jamaica by myself with my brothers and stuff like that. And she'd reach out to me, to make sure I was okay.
Yeah, I you bring up an important. And when I talk to the people who came on the podcast that come out this weekend, Rattigan was saying the same, and I asked the question, and I say, how the teachers at Meadowbrook know? And the two want to attest to the same thing, how the teachers at Meadowbrook knows the student needed the compassion. You, Merrick, and you as a whole, I don't know. How did those teachers know that they needed compassion? So I'm saying to you that when I reach out and Miss McLennan send you a book a year afterwards, Merrick, that must have meant a world to you. As your parents that year and Miss McLennan reach out to you. How did they know? You never advertise it and tell nobody. How did they know?
I think, when I was in second form, my father died.
Yeah.
And she knew, she was aware that my mother was away. I was away. She was away in the States, and I don't know, just the motherly part of her,
Yeah. That was a special, and it's not just Miss McLean alone. A lot of teachers throughout Meadowbrook.
Miss Wigan.
Yeah. Because them come on and talk about other teachers, man. There's a special touch about Meadowbrook. It's like the teachers. There's somebody there for a particular student, man. Nobody were left behind at Meadowbrook. For you,
I think they had their conferences, I mean, I'm pretty sure they had their staff meetings and stuff like that, and they spoke about the teachers. I mean, the students. That's one way they could have found out, about different students.
No, understood. You see, for me, why? Because I know, in a sense, me have my mother and father, and me get all the love me need from my mother and father. So it's not like saying a teacher had to reach out to me, and I did get help from Mr. Year, Mr. Beckford, and you see me, I said to you, all them teachers, them, Mr. Dean, when the time needed for them step up and bat for me, they did. So, as I said, right throughout the school, man. Right throughout the school. And mine was in a sports arena, and when we got sixth form, them campaigned for me for go sixth form, because I didn't pass English yet. And then it's afterwards, then I read sixth form, 6B, I got in. I got my English, and I did enough subject. That's what I mean. Imply that, don't at all. I get what I mean. Mary.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know what I mean. It's like, don't go around where I have fun with. And that was him for true, yes.
Yeah. Yes.
You hear say certain things that you hear from no other teacher, come with a talk in this advanced way.
No, man, that you're so right. That man would be that uncle that would mention little things and like, wait a second. No, man, now I have to divorce myself from him being a Mr. to uncle.
Yeah.
Especially when you went camping for cadets.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. When I went for camp for cadets, and I remember Piggy Piggy was heavy, right? Right.
Piggy is you're talking about Alexander, Neville Alexander, or Christopher.
A big fat heavy guy, man.
That's Neville Alexander, man. That's the old our Christopher Alexander. I know you're talking. And that's a different Piggy. That's a different Piggy. As I was talking about, Piggy, a different Piggy. But yeah, I know you're talking. Christopher Alexander, I think you're talking.
Yeah, kind of a little bit
heavy and tall, big. Yeah, man, I know you're talking, man.
Yeah.
Two brothers. I don't even know the older one. You should, because they were both in at school at the time. Neville and Christopher.
Yes.
They still have Valentine Garden.
Them same one, yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I remember when we were camping at Meadowbrook, and Piggy was fast asleep, and he was a hard sleeper, and he would snore. And about 8 of us lifted his cot down the steps, and left him on the parade ground.
Jesus.
And in the cold night breeze, and Mr. Gooden, he was there the next morning, and poor guy, nobody owned up to it, and Mr. Gooden found out about it. And on the parade ground, Mr. Gooden was raising Cain. But when we were done with the parade and he went back inside and we went there with him, he was laughing.
Yeah.
He was actually laughing. Yeah.
Mr. Gooden was, yes. You would have enjoyed that, you're exactly right. Exactly. Part of the pranks are growing up, man. That is part of the thing. You don't sleep too soon at all. Yes.
Putting toothpaste in somebody's hand middle when they're sleeping and tickling their face, and they would toothpaste or black polish themselves. And he would find a giggle out. You'd find him giggling. But on the parade ground, he was extremely serious.
Yeah.
Good man.
All right, may I ask a couple more questions? Message you have as to existing student or future student or staff member who are going to listen to this program this year, next year, 5 years, 10 years time, who are going to Meadowbrook, what message you have to them, to student or staff member who are going to Meadowbrook and I hear this?
Well, my message to them is, would be to enjoy the campus, work hard, and give back at the end of the day. Get involved. At the end of the day, there's, the school needs help. Give back, but enjoy Meadowbrook. It's a great institution. And that's what that would be my message to the students and the faculty. It's a great institution, which has produced some really good people. But at the same time, we need to still give back at the end of the day, so we can have those who are left behind to enjoy what we enjoyed. So that's my message.
Yeah. And you, Merrick, the same question.
Brilliant.
Message to existing student or future student or staff member. Go ahead, Merrick. Sorry.
Yes. Thank you. And Ozzy, that was brilliant, Ozzy, and that was very, very powerful, I must say to you. To the existing students and future students of Meadowbrook High School, look back on the history of the formation of the institution that you're part of right now, and you'll come to realize the strength, the toil, the toils and tribulations that the founding fathers and mothers had to endure to create such a campus, to create such an institution as Meadowbrook High School. The growth of Meadowbrook over the years, the trend that it has set, the accomplishment that it has made, the great minds that have graduated from Meadowbrook in all aspects of life, in science, in sports, in medicine, in law, in music and in sports. Look on the tradition that you have. Yes, you might have a heavy mantle to bear and high standards to live up to, but if you depend on Meadowbrook and the traditions of Meadowbrook, you'll come to realize that you're part of a greater future because of Meadowbrook. The discipline, the strength, the uniformity of the academics at Meadowbrook will pave the way, and with an ounce of ambition and a bit of drive, Meadowbrook will instill in you the capacity to meet, greet, and conquer the future with style, with grace, and with great discipline. Don't be afraid to remember the words of Miss McLennan. You are the future. Embrace that. embrace it. That's my message.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well said, Merrick, and well said, Ozzy. I like that. And this question is courtesy of a group of twins I interviewed, I talked to, not to interview, I had a conversation last week. I don't know if, as you might not know them, but you might know them, Merrick. Richard and Ian Chung, they probably were here before.
Yes, Chongy, yes.
Yeah, one. And one of them, Ian asked me, say, why don't I ask this question? I added to my repertoire question because I love it. And I'm going to ask you first, Merrick, this question. How does it make you feel, bringing up back all these memories after all these years? I talk about the
Vindicated.
Yeah.
Vindicated. I will say that too long the memories of Meadowbrook has plagued me, haunted me, especially with the one with Miss Nevins.
Mm-hmm.
Too long I have kept Meadowbrook a part of my memories as opposed to a part of my my present day recollection.
Your history.
Yeah. I did not graduate from Meadowbrook, and there are many times where I have nightmares of turning up at Meadowbrook and was not allowed on this campus because I was late or I was not dressed properly or I was even naked in my dreams. And I've come to recognize and realize that that there was a part of me that was missing by having to migrate a year before I would have graduated. And when I see pictures of my fellow students graduating and the graduation outfits, the white and the khaki and the beautiful pictures, I felt left out. I felt as if something was missing.
Mm-hmm.
So having this moment in time, thanks to you, Prince, and of course, thanks to Ozzy for bringing me aboard on this wonderful program, I simply feel vindicated.
The pleasure. Yes. I appreciate how you put it, Merrick. It's like you finally get your graduation.
There you go, sir. There you go. And when Ozzy is done, I want to ask him a question. But
yeah, man.
I finally got my graduation.
I'm going to get some diploma and send to you, Merrick, because
I would love that.
I love how you put it. And I said, boy, you know what? You finally get a chance to graduate from Meadowbrook after you come.
Of all the schools I've ever attended, of all the universities I've ever attended, of all the colleges I've ever attended, I don't have one of Meadowbrook.
Yeah.
Not even in crayon.
Yeah, I hear you. I will get a crayon one for you, Merrick. Don't worry, I'm going to get the address and that's
Gladly accept it. Yeah.
And for you, Ozzy, how does it make you feel bringing up back all these Meadowbrook memories after all these years?
My memories have never stopped. It's nostalgic. One word, nostalgic. It has never. My memories of Meadowbrook has never stopped since I left Meadowbrook. It's I can sit back and smile. You know, at most of my memories of Meadowbrook, I had no issues per se. I met some really nice people while I was there, and even after. You know, Merrick myself just linked up a few 2 years ago, and
yeah.
It's nice. It's just absolutely nice to just sit down and talk to, an old student, or to exchange our different stories. It's just nostalgic, and it just brings a smile to my face and there's a certain peace. You know, I don't know about you, Merrick, but it's just nostalgic.
Yes.
Yeah, so Merrick, you say I had a question for Ozzy. Go ahead.
Before I ask him the question, Ozzy, I have a question for you. But before I ask you the question, Ozzy, I want to just take the time to say that Ozzy and I got back together because of Patrick Arthur, Dave Infinity, or we call him Dentist.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my saddest moments was one of my proudest moments. One of my saddest moments was when my sister Michelle, who also left Meadowbrook in 1980, passed away last year, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And as luck would have it, Ozzy came to the rescue. My father was part owner of Sam Isaacs and Sons Funeral Parlor when he returned to Jamaica for a long while. And Ozzy now invited me and introduced me to one of his very good friends and long life friend, who runs a funeral parlor out there in New Jersey. He turned to funeral services, Mr. Arian and Miss Gloria Booker. And it was through the love and care of a fellow, may I use the word Meadowbrookian or Meadowbrook student, which is Oswald Barrett, that my sister was laid to rest in fine style with the dignity that she deserved, and with all honors and with all glory. So, Ozzy, I'm using this platform once again. I've told you this. I'm using this platform again to remind our students, past, present, and future, that within the confines of Meadowbrook, past, present, and future, there are people that are here to help one another, and it's okay to rely on each other. It's okay to call upon each other, that once we have this thing in our blood called Meadowbrook, that we are in fact more than just friends. We have traveled the same journey, traveled the same road, and we should be able to depend on each other and give back not only to the school, as Ozzy said, but give back to each other and to support each other, even because and only because of the fact that we went to Meadowbrook. We have entertainers, famous entertainers, that would not give back to Meadowbrook without getting paid. But I am happy to say and proud to say that a fellow student came to the rescue when my sister passed away. And each of you, past, present, and future, should start to get into the habit of tapping into the strong, powerful resources that we call Meadowbrook. All right? The question I have for Ozzy now, and Ozzy, thank you for that. Oswald said that
Thank you, Merrick, for allowing me to serve your family during your bereavement. It was my pleasure.
Yes.
And to do it for you and your family.
And thank you, sir. Thank you. And if it wasn't for Meadowbrook, it would not have happened, Prince. It would not have happened.
Yes, I hear you, Merrick. Yes. Well said. Yeah, the question I have for Ozzy.
The question now, quickly. As I said, at the first day of school, he saw the headless body. And when he got to school, there was a line of girls lined up on the top there. But he said he was intimidated. So I kind of missed something. Were you intimidated because there were girls looking on you? Or were you intimidated because there was a line of girls there?
No,
that's all the question I have.
No, I think it was the number of girls that were on top just staring at you, just...
Tell you, something wrong with you, my brother. You walk right into my trap. Something wrong with you. If I had girls looking at me, I would not have been intimidated. No. I would have been excited. Thank you for walking into my trap.
Virgin, I mean, you're a 17-year-old kid, with a group of girls. I mean,
girls. I said, nobody explain no more, brother.
I think Merrick right. You better leave the ball alone. Don't say nothing more to Merrick. I'm a liar. I've been set up on trap already.
I should have known better. He's a lawyer.
Yeah, man. I hear you.
And I'm not being ungrateful after the man was so kind to me and
yeah, you set him up. You butt him up first and then you bowl him that googly. You say you Merrick.
There you go.
Right. It's all right. Anyway, gentlemen, the last two questions, Well, one of them is I think a question. Before I ask the last question, I have to ask and you first, Merrick. Is there any question or topic or anything you'd like comment on what I didn't bring up at all? A lot of time people come on these conversations, and when I'm leaving at night, they must say, boy, Jelly, if I'm not asking me that time, I forget to bring up that. So I say, the floor is yours, Where you want to bring up that I didn't bring up, or you think I cover everything?
What I want to encourage Meadowbrook people to do, especially past students, and Ozzy might or might not touch this, and Ozzy, I promise you I won't set you up again. I promise you that. Is to have and to be more mindful of the greater contributions that other students, past and present, are able to contribute to the common cause. What I've come to see is that, especially in the situation nowadays, as it governs Meadowbrook and the past students and stuff like that, is that we allow ego to guide us as opposed to common sense and a commonality in moving forward. We have good doctors and lawyers, we have good barristers, judges, and even racehorse jockeys coming out. And we have to constantly remind ourselves that yes, we might be individuals in our own ways and lives, but if we really consider Meadowbrook as being the genesis of our movements through life, that we should also embrace the fact that it is okay to expand our horizon to include other minds, other mindsets, and other way of thinking from past Meadowbrook students towards a common goal. Meadowbrook now seems to have students that attend school and don't have lunch to eat. We have a different mindset now as to the way the school should be operated. And so the question that I would like you to ask at this particular point is, where is Meadowbrook headed at this particular point, given the nature of crime, the nature of bullyism, the nature of these stupid TikTok challenges that we see now, where kids are dying, kids are breaking their arms, doing stupid, silly little things. Where is Meadowbrook headed, and what do you think the faculty should be engaged in to continue the traditions that Ozzy and I and you, Prince, enjoyed, and to pretty much keep a strong tap and strong hold against the inclusion of these stupid behaviors that we see now so prevalent in schools, especially fighting with teachers?
Yeah.
See?
That is a good question, Merrick, and that we have to reflect on that question, because the challenge not just for Meadowbrook, and I just say what I did with Meadowbrook, because Meadowbrook mean a whole heaps away. Green and blue run throughout the vein, and it's a really profound question to ask yourself, and I say, what we want for the future for Meadowbrook when we're not here? What do you want? What can we do to lay a foundation that Meadowbrook survive? That's what you're really saying, survive.
Yeah. Yes.
That it can provide the education we provide to we 50 years on, so that's something we have to reflect on. And it's more than just money, this is not a money question. This is not a money question, Merrick. I hear what you're saying.
No.
This is not it's what sort of vision and legacy we want to leave for Meadowbrook, or whether like Meadowbrook have as past students. And I say this is and when people hear this, they can reflect on the question, Merrick, but that's a good question. That is a good question.
So the challenge then, the real question now is, what can we do? What can you do for Meadowbrook?
Right. What we can do for Meadowbrook, yeah.
Yes.
That's a good question, Mary. That is a good question. I want to reflect on everybody. All the way we hear this, and when it's out, we hear it in the next couple of weeks. Because I have a couple of podcasts that come out before these, or record before these. So this one will take a couple months, 6-8 weeks before this come out. But so the question is the same, Merrick. The question, whenever this come out, it will be there forever. And every Meadowbrook student will hear this, past, present, future. The challenge for ask the question, I say, what you can do for Meadowbrook? What you can do for Meadowbrook? And that is a profoundly good question. That's a profoundly good question, Merrick. So yeah, I will leave it at that. Let's say with that. Because I do have the answer for that. I know what I like though, and I think about it, and I have some things I put in place to say, boy. But I will make you know more about it, Merrick and Ozzy. There's something I put in together for try. Answer that same question we talk about. Funny talk about it.
Brilliant.
This week I'm going to put it together. Me and our next guy will put something together, and I definitely will let you know more about it, because I have the passion and the vision, and I have to make one be part of that circle in terms of say what. And it's something like that I want to put in place. I don't want to say much about it publicly right now. So to answer your question, we have been talking about it behind the scenes. A guy come to me, my good friend came to me and said, Jelly, because of this conversation with my start from January, people I reach out and I said, I want something for Meadowbrook. Like we try and put something together where you have it in a official capacity, like where we can actually set something. I last 100 years, longer than we. So I hear you. I understand the question, Merrick, and I will reach out to you and let you know. Because putting something together for try have something. And I don't want to say much about it, so I will send it out to you and Ozzy. Definitely have to include in this. Definitely, because I have the passion for Meadowbrook where I can't make that go pass at all. So the same question for you, Ozzy. Any question or topic where you think we should bring up, or I didn't bring up, where I like to ask?
Well, there's, I'm sort of long-winded too. My group knows who I am at times, but I'll just give you a start. But Jelly, before Reverend Saunders died, you know, I used to keep in touch with her, and she sort of encouraged not only me but the New York chapter of the Alumni Association to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Keep doing what we're doing. It's doing the different projects that the school needed.
Yeah.
And I took it. I when I make a promise, I make a promise, and I try and see what I can do or whatever, And the way how I think that we can all collectively do something is to get involved with one of the alumni. Projects do over the years, get involved. It doesn't have to be monetarily,
right.
Even an idea or something, or even when you go to Jamaica, you pass by the school, talk to the students, talk to the staff, even the auxiliary staff, give back. It's so important. She said to me that the alumni is an important part of the school. And this is how we're going to do things. And we've done, the alumni collectively, they've done stuff for the school, but we could do more. So if anybody wants to do stuff, join with the alumni, get involved, it's very important. Support the events, the programs that they have, the Sizzle Fest the other day, the galas that they had, one in last night in Canada. Get involved, go support,
Yeah.
Okay, school. That's one way of giving back to the school.
Yeah, man. I well said, Azzy. I agree with that too. Well said. So the last question, gentlemen, I'm going to start with you, Merrick. What made Meadowbrook magical?
What made Meadowbrook magical for me was the exposure to fellow Jamaican kids with their different ideas, ideals, the different religions, different backgrounds, different races. Although we are out of many one people, we were now integrated into this one I would say blender, and it created in me a greater sense of togetherness as opposed to oneness, and that togetherness created the oneness. It created in me a sense of tolerance, but most importantly, migrating to the United States, the discipline and the educational advantage that I had over the American students of the same level was far, far, far superior.
Yeah.
To where it was easy to become complacent and lazy in an American school, because been there, done that in Meadowbrook with discipline, with a flair, and Meadowbrook created in me a sense of not being inquisitive, being curious but not inquisitive for danger. So when cocaine was offered to me in an American class, I quickly had the knowledge and common sense to stay away from it.
Yeah.
When marijuana was introduced to me, I walked away from it. So what made Meadowbrook magical? Meadowbrook was magical because it made the young Merrick Dammar become a responsible, strongly functioning, and wonderful father, husband, and attorney at law. And the magic in it is that it is in my soul and it is in my heart and memories that will never, ever, ever leave me. So if at any point in time I ever feel tempted to step over that line, the true magic for me the true magic for me of Meadowbrook was Miss McLennan.
Mm-hmm.
I will remember her voice. I will remember her love. So what made Meadowbrook magical for me? Miss McLennan.
Mm-hmm.
She made me into a man.
Mm-hmm. I hear you,
Yes,
Merrick.
and a successful one at that.
I hear you. And she'll be cheering you, and she will be proud. She is proud of hearing you.
Yes.
Yes, I get a chance to say it publicly that the world
Yeah.
can hear.
Yes. And in my eyes, she was a beautiful woman. Yeah.
I hear you. And for you, Azzy, what made Meadowbrook magical?
I think I actually answered that question sort of earlier in the interview. But the friendships made it magical. The long-lasting friendships that I developed with my fellow students from Meadowbrook my year made it magical. The teachers made it magical. Meadowbrook made me into the man that I am today. Responsible. Persevering. All the good things that a man should have. Meadowbrook helped me to bring me to this point. It was a great institution, still is, and I love that school, and I love the people, and it just made me a better person overall. And that's what I can say about Meadowbrook making it magical for me.
I hear you. Before I go in, I just want to ask either one of you. Well, you first, Merrick. Any closing remarks? Merrick? I'm not there.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry about that. The closing remarks I have, besides thanking you and Ozzy for this wonderful opportunity, is geared towards the principal of the school. We've never met. Hopefully, I'll meet you one day. And for the principal of the school, I know you're not from Meadowbrook, but we know that you have embraced Meadowbrook, and we want to thank you for leading this generation of kids into the future.
You're talking about the current principal, Azzy?
The current principal, right. We've never met. But I personally want to use this platform, and one day, hopefully, I'll be able to shake his hand and thank him for leading this particular generation of students into the future. And I would like to introduce you to the memories of Mr. Thorpe, Mr. Gooden, Miss Morris, and in particular, Miss McLennan, also of the founding fathers. And, be mindful that it is okay to remind this generation of the greatness of those people, those forebearers that went before you. And if you can take one page out of each of those individuals' books, it would make your job that much more enchanting, that much more bearable, and that much more revealing of the greatness of that seat that you're sitting in, coupled with your heart, coupled with your drive and determination, coupled with your love for education. Sir, you have this wonderful opportunity to let Meadowbrook live up to its motto, let your light so shine.
Yep. Are you, Azzy, any closing remarks?
Well, I don't know if I can top what Merrick says, but Prince, first of all, I have to thank you for inviting us to this program. And also big thanks to Donna White, you know Donna.
Yeah.
For introducing me to you and the program. Merrick, thank you for coming on and accepting the invitation. Prince, what you're doing is a good thing, and it's appreciated by the alumni, worldwide. And we love you for this, and it's right on time. My message to my fellow alumni is that I'm going to ask you all to get involved in somewhere form. Meadowbrook needs your help. and we need to create some good memories for those who are left behind. So I implore you to get involved in whatever way you can. But and that's all I have to say about it. But thank you again, Prince.
Yeah, man. Yes, the thanks is all mine. I appreciate. When I start this program in January, I never expect. I just think somebody will come talk to some cricketer, and and them I gonna love. Me I gonna listen back to the cricket story them because I love them. Because I never knew it would have such a profound impact on the school. And every time somebody come on and appreciate the way and reach out to me and they show the gratitude and they show it to me, I pinch myself as when I say. Because as I say, I just come and I just want to talk with the memories. I'm glad to say other people come and want to talk with the memories, so I love that. I love that. I appreciate in the words. I appreciate in the words. So Merrick Dammar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oswald, lad, family man Barrett. It was a real pleasure. And as I say, Ozzy, it's almost 2.5 hours and we could have talked more. So then I say now I want more to say. So I hope you realize once you start talk, the memories of them just flow. This is good, and God bless and God bless Meadowbrook, and thank you for coming on and spend on the Sunday evening and come talk with the members of Meadowbrook, and I appreciate this. And as I say, God bless you, Merrick, and God bless you, Ozzy, and your family, and you, Merrick, and your family, and God bless Meadowbrook.
God bless.
Have a good night. Have a good night.
It's all love, my brother. All love. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Meadowbrook Memories, and remember to give us all the support and encouragement you can on whatever social media platform you are listening. And special thanks to my production manager, Kyle Prince, who takes care of everything involved in getting the podcast out every week. And without him, this podcast would not be possible. It is his expertise that allows me to do what I love doing every week, having great conversations about Meadowbrook Memories, and he's responsible for everything else. So again, thanks to my production manager, Kyle Prince.